Naked runs, crafting, unexpected awesome gun combos, skill tree secrets, and what you actually need to know about augments are just some of the things I wish I knew way sooner before I spent well over 200 hours playing Arc Raiders. Intermediate players and beginners alike are gonna get a lot from this video. Now let's start things off. Just imagine spawning into Blue Gate, checking your position, and immediately realize while this run was specifically planned for looting, you're on the complete opposite side of the map from the location you wanted to loot, and it'll take at least 5 minutes to get there. Most players make the same mistake here. You come in with all your gear that you've worked so hard and so long to get, and they don't want to die, so they stick to the same plan. But what if I told you there was a very simple and effective way that you could avoid this? This is called a naked run, which we'll dive into a little bit further, but the strategy might surprise you. It's simply open the menu, hit surrender, queue in again, and lose absolutely nothing. Now, this might sound strange at first, but if you understand what Arc Raiders actually is, when it comes to the games that you're actually only in it to loot, it makes sense to do this because if you queue in, you can spawn much closer and actually get to a site that hasn't been looted, and since you went in with nothing, you don't lose anything when you use this strategy. And sure, something like this is obviously simple and a quick tweak you can do, but it is actually quite valuable. As we get deeper into this video, there'll be a lot more for you to use. Here, we're going to teach you how to formulate different run strategies, how you approach spawns, which loot routes are actually worth farming, to which skill tree perks and augments provide the most value. Let's actually talk naked runs versus free kits. Now, don't get me wrong, if you're starting off in the game, free kits are great because you get to start with a gun, get used to the gaming mechanics, practicing healing and stuff like that, so they definitely have a place in the beginning. However, if you're further off in the game and just temporarily broke, what's actually better is a naked run where you focus on having that safe pocket. So if you do get something really valuable, you can keep it in that safe pocket, and the free kits just don't have that. Let's say you want to farm the breachable security room on Blue Gate because it contains multiple high value containers and blueprints. If you spawn on the opposite side of the map, you're looking at several minutes just to reach that location. By the time you get there, it's already been looted. Instead of committing to that run, many experienced players load into the raid with almost nothing equipped. No weapon, no augment, no shield. The only thing they bring is adrenaline shots stored in the safe pocket. When the raid begins, they immediately check their spawn location. If they spawned far away from the route they want to farm, simply surrender and queue again. And the reason for the stim shots, the extra speed can be the difference between you or someone else reaching a high loot area first. And when we're talking about getting you the best loot, the pharmacy building is your best bet. It contains a high density of drawers and cabinets close together, which means multiple chances at valuable items in a very short amount of time. A common way to approach this building is from the roof, and then from there you can drop down into the window near the staircase. Once inside, the first thing to check is the dresser drawers beside the landing. If those drawers are still closed, that usually means no one has looted this building yet. From there, move through the upper rooms, checking the remaining drawers and cabinets, and after you finish on the top floor, head down the staircase and continue checking the container on the lower floor. Because the building is compact and the containers are very close together, you clear the entire building very quickly. Finding the best routes like this on different maps will allow you to loot way faster, and when you've got everything you need, use that hatch key to get out quickly and safely. Another strong location for farming value is the assembly workshop. This building is especially useful for making money because it contains large numbers of toolboxes. Toolboxes frequently spawn items that sell for a good amount of currency, and when entering the workshop, move through the larger rooms and prioritize checking toolboxes first. By focusing on those containers and moving quickly through the building, it's possible to collect a lot of sellable items in a short amount of time. Next is research buildings. They're another excellent place to farm loot because they contain multiple types of containers in a small area. When inside, the first things to check are the green lockers. They often spawn trinkets and other valuable items. After the lockers, move through the office cubicles and check the desk drawers. Desk drawers are important because they can spawn attachments and blueprints. If the building does contain a server room, it's also worth checking out the containers there since they often spawn processors and other useful crafting components. Now, when it comes to the skill tree, if you've watched any video on YouTube, you know everyone goes super heavy on yellow and red, and for good reason. But while doing that, it's important not to ignore the green skill tree entirely. There are several perks in that tree that can make quite a noticeable difference during raids. One example is Used to the Weight. If you're using medium or heavy shields, this perk definitely improves your movement speed. Another useful one is Fight or Flight. Whenever you take damage, this perk restores your stamina, and that extra stamina can make it much easier to reach cover after being shot or escape dangerous situations. Then there's Down But Determined. This increases the amount of time before you fully collapse when you're downed, and that extra time is so helpful because you can either go somewhere where you can get help, or it gives your teammates more valuable time to fight other players without needing to worry about running over and getting you up right away. Now let's dive into the augments that provide the most value. And I think it's important to note that depending on the style of game you're playing, I think a big mistake I see is not getting the right augment for the right type of game you're going to be playing. If you're playing PvP, if you're just messing around with your friend, or if you're doing a hardcore looting mission, all of those require different augments. For example, the Tactical Mark II is excellent for PvP focused runs. It allows you to use a medium shield and automatically deploy smoke when your shield breaks, which can be so helpful defending you from other players or even arcs. Then for loot focused runs, the Looting Mark II is extremely useful because it provides additional backpack space and trinket compartments. That extra storage makes it easier for you to extract a lot more items. Then for the last one I'd recommend, it is the Looting Mark III Survivor. When you're downed and remain stationary, your health regenerates up to 75% of your maximum downed health. This can allow you to survive so long while either waiting for a revive or actually slowly get to an extraction point. The trick is to just barely tap up on your control pad so you always stay at high health. Then next comes the Snap Hook. Now this one takes a long time to get, especially when you're a new player, and a lot of people are actually scared of using it. I'd say first off, go into a game with it only in your safe pocket. Don't worry about weapons or anything. Have fun practicing using it and looting through windows and stuff like that. And then if you get attacked or if you see enemies around, simply put it in your safe pocket. And since you haven't brought anything valuable with you into the match, if they take you out, no worries, your Snap Hook is in your safe pocket. But then once you're a lot more confident with it, definitely use it in the game. And one trick, if you're extra paranoid, is while you're actually in the air moving to the location, toss it in the safe pocket before you even land, and it's always safe to use. Now, it's no question that weapons in Arc Raiders can get very expensive, whether you're leveling them up or adding a lot of attachments. If, however, you want to join some friends playing some PvP fights, but you don't want to lose your valuable gear or you can't afford to replace it, the best thing to do is to bring in the Stitcher with an extended mag. That way you have to do very minor modification, and instead of having 20 shots, which is not enough to kill someone, you now get that extra amount of ammo, and if you're one-on-one in a gunfight, you can actually take someone out with a Stitcher. Of course, the downside of this weapon is you can't use it against arcs, it's very ineffective, but if you're in a lobby where playing PvP and just having fun is the main goal without really losing anything, the Stitcher is a great example. Or if you're in a run and gun situation and you're holding two guns, the Stitcher as your backup with an extended mag is much more valuable than people realize. Next up is tips for when to change your playstyle and for which weapons to use. For this, there's a few different tips I have for you. Let's say you had a fun night of PvP with some friends, but the next day you're playing by yourself and you want to bring in all your valuable gear. It might actually be better to take a 3-game pause before you bring in your most valuable stuff. And what I mean by that is instead of diving straight into the match you want to, try 3 naked runs first where you don't actually bring a weapon, you only bring something in your safe pocket, and then you just focus on looting, get some money, get some gear, and no matter what, don't shoot a gun. Of course, you're probably gonna die in your first or second game, but then after 3 or 4 games, that aggression matchmaking will reset. That can allow you to have better lobbies, so you can feel a lot more confident bringing in your more expensive or more rare weapons. Then for more of a beginner tip, if your mission is gonna be mostly fighting arcs, you really have to focus on weapons with medium and heavy armor penetration. Don't waste your time with light weapons. Then comes crafting. This is so important in Arc Raiders. Firstly, it's important to recognize which items are actually valuable for crafting. Some materials become bottlenecks because they're required for crafting useful gear and cannot be crafted easily. Processors are a good example of this. They are used in several high value items and cannot be produced directly. Because of that, finding processors during a raid is often a lot more valuable than looting for different items. So depending on the stage of the game you're in, building up that mental list of items that support the gear you craft most often can actually help you have an overall better experience in Arc Raiders. So focusing on these tips, knowing which style of match you're going into and adapting for that will give you a much more enjoyable experience in Arc Raiders. You don't have to worry about constantly losing all your valuable gear, and you can practice repeatable routes to get more high value loot a lot more consistently. So there you have it. Those are my main notes from all these hours of playing Arc Raiders. But if you want us to dive into a little bit more on specific actual looting runs or blueprint runs, or even best guns and setups to use now, let us know in the comments below and we'll build those out for you. Till then though, make sure you subscribe and we'll see you in the next video.